Hey guys, welcome to Hollow Weekly. I'm your host, Nick Rollins, here with
George Healy.
Well, we're both hosts. Don't want to sound like one's better than the other.
It might be. I've listened to the past episode.
That's not true. So we're excited to have our first guest on the show. We are here with Alex Taylor, composer extraordinaire.
Welcome, Alex.
Welcome,
Thank
Alex.
you. It's a pleasure being here. It's good we got this up and running.
I know. Well, we have a photo that I'm sure we'll upload.
Yeah, this is going in the show notes.
We had.
You have no idea what happened here audio-wise for the last hour.
We're trying to get.
Amazing.
We're now. Alex and I are going to duet a mic.
Yeah.
Yes.
Walk the line style.
I'll take that. I'll be June.
So.
And I don't have any experience with audio equipment, but like it started really clean, and now it looks like full-on Cthulhu. So I'm impressed.
There's wires everywhere.
It's amazing.
It's nasty.
I love Lovecraft, so
Perfect.
This is great. So today we're gonna talk to Alex about music and horror. That's the main theme today, and we have a segment we're gonna introduce called Killer Questions, where we're going to talk about some of the questions that we asked our fans on Facebook and see what they said, see if we agree or disagree, and talk about our own answers. So, jumping right into it, Alex, tell us how you got into composing music.
kind of by luck, actually. I started playing guitar at 12, and I kind of just wanted to be a rock star for the first 15 years or so. And then
That's a good goal to have.
yeah,
Very good.
Rock
still
star.
kind of do. Still kind of want to be a rock star, but film just kind of became my passion. I was in high school, I guess, when I started getting into film. And then I decided to study film production at Wright State because it was an affordable college in my hometown. I went there, studied, and actually made it through. We were talking about earlier, it was pretty competitive.
Yeah.
Cut down to 10 people by junior year. And
Were you composing? When you were studying film, how many of the films at Wright State did you compose for? Were you composing for all of those, or were you
Yes.
just focused on production? So you did most of the production, or the
primarily
scores.
Yeah, pretty much anything I worked on or helped produce or like a director, assistant direct, I'd also score, mainly for budgetary reasons. We couldn't really bring in like anyone else, and I just kind of loved it. And even movies I didn't end up like producing, people asked me like, "Hey, can you score this?" I was like, "Sure," because it was
That's rad.
fun. It was more of a hobby.
Yeah. So you got him in there. Okay, so that's what got you into it. And then now you're out in LA. You're working. You're composing music for. You're still doing music out here in LA, correct?
Yeah. I work at a cartoon company. It's a little startup founded by Terry Thorin. He's the guy who co-created the Rugrats and Wild Thornberries and
Cool.
a bunch of little cartoons.
I love the Rugrats. All right.
What first got you into horror? How early did it happen? And then when did horror join into music?
I would have to say probably Ghostbusters was probably my intro to horror as a kid. I absolutely loved Ghostbusters, and there were certain like parts of it that just terrified me as a kid. I mean, I think I looked this up. I was 4 years old, and I was Peter Venkman for Halloween. And then the next year, I was 5 when I was Michael Myers. I just caught my mom and my dad at the time. Still my dad, but they weren't. He's still my dad.
Yes.
After that Halloween, they were gone.
They were watching Halloween, and I remember just kind of peeking in and stealing little looks at the TV, and I just kind of became fascinated. My mom and my dad, they didn't really care. They let me watch, they covered up my eyes if there was any nudity, but they didn't care about the gore or anything.
They weren't screening you from the content.
No, they're just like, "Oh, do you want to watch it?" And I was like, "Sure." So I just kind of, I guess just seeing the movies.
Right.
Yeah.
And then it stuck with you as you got older. You kept watching it. You didn't drop out and get sick of it for a while. It just-
Oh, no. I mean, I was always obsessed with horror movies. I don't know exactly when. It was probably in high school when I started, I watched all, the zombie, George A. Romero. I followed, all of his, all the Day of the Dead, Dawn of the Dead, Night of. I watched zombie movies because that was, zombie movies were the thing back in.
Yeah.
But, no, I've always loved it. I don't know exactly what it is that draws me to it, but I don't know.
That's awesome. And then as you were watching it, even when you were young, were you noticing music, or did that come later?
Actually, it was later, I think, when I started scoring, when I realized how important music is, especially in horror movies. And it's so different writing music for horror versus music for a drama or something, because it's with a drama, when you're composing, you usually you're writing music to help tell the story or, develop characters. Not that you're not doing that with horror, but it seems like with horror music, you're more kind of tricking the audience.
That
You're
makes sense.
scaring them. You're surprising them. Whereas, like, that's like the one main difference that I've seen between scoring for the other, like, horror versus drama is, like, you are actively trying to trick the audience. You're trying to mislead them. Like, is this person the killer? You kind of, like, you want to trick them.
Right.
Which, yeah.
I really believe that. When I was watching, there's a clip online of them. They did a scene from Pirates of the Caribbean, but with different music. And the point of the clip was how much different music will change the exact same scene.
Yeah.
And it's true, but I felt like the clip had less of an impact on me than I expected it to. I didn't feel like the scene even changed that much. It changed some, but not a lot. But when you do that with horror, it changes everything.
Yeah, I think there's like a pretty infamous story about when John Carpenter first did a test screening of Halloween. He did one without the score, and nobody thought it was scary. They just thought it was like, this is garbage and really boring. And then it was after he added that score, which I think he recorded for like 3 days, in a 3-day period.
Damn.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's the man.
And it lived on for Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
Right.
Good job.
That's amazing. Well, I also Nick has some questions that we wanted to cover specifically about music in the specific horror circumstances.
Yeah, so like you were talking about, like you noticed the differences with composing for horror as opposed to a drama or comedy. What is it? What are the flavors you put into a horror? Like when you said you trick them, how do you trick them? Like as a composer, what goes through your head when you're like, these notes in that instrument does that?
It seems like with horror, you are given you have more leeway to do whatever you want. You can experiment with noise because like the noise in the track is just as important as like the musical elements. So like for this last track I just did, or this last score I did for a short called Reaching Out, it was like a mix between organic instrumentation and like a lot of like electronic. Whereas like when I'm doing like dramatic scores, it's more like piano or violin or just like, like normal organic instrumentation. And it feels like it's more percussive with horror because you have to have that, like the driving, like the booms, and like just like the jump scares and
yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I can tell that. I mean, but so there's actually, see, this is one of the things that bugs me about like how people outside the horror genre look at it. I imagine they would be expecting it to be simpler, but it sounds like it's more complicated to write.
Oh, it certainly can be.
For a horror, right?
Yeah, if you look at like Bernard Herrmann, any work he does is just masterful. It's certainly not easier. It is more fun. It is definitely more fun. I could definitely, like I said, because like there's something called like a water phone. I don't know if you guys have.
Oh yeah, I saw a video of someone posted on Facebook. Goofy fucking instrument.
Yeah, it's like I don't know. It's
It's like a bunch of spikes, like in a circle, right?
It kind of sounds like the sound of like if you took like a wine glass and it makes that like sharp, shrill noise. It's in a lot of horror movies and a lot of like sci-fi movies. And same with like a theremin.
Yep.
Like the 50s. Like I have one of those now. I have not had a chance to use it because
that's so cool.
That is amazing.
I just have to wait for the right thing.
Yes.
But, no, it's certainly not easier. No, and that's something we can definitely talk about later. I have a few points about that.
Oh, that's awesome.
Cool.
That's awesome. Can you give us some examples of music in a horror film that just connect that makes the scene?
I could think of a most recent example. I don't know if you guys I'm sure you have seen It Follows. Yeah.
Oh, I got that on my list, but I got it on the opposite side.
Really?
Nick's been pondering this. This is going to be great. Okay.
Oh man. See, I think I think that movie, It Follows, would have been pretty forgettable if it weren't for the original soundtrack.
Which is fair. I agree with that. But it's funny because I actually had that on the opposite side because I like the soundtrack because that's the thing. I'm not dissing the soundtrack. The music's groovy as fuck and I love it. But I don't think the film itself was as stylized as the music was.
No, not at all. The music was the stylization.
But the music I thought was
distracting.
Pretty good. It took me out, man. I was like, if it was in Drive, right on, man. Like I get it, like the way you're straight shooting it. But it was too too wonky for me. I was like, every time it came on, I was like, I like the track, but it made me like want to like. It was like a pump song. Like I'm working out. I'm like, all right, I'm ready to run away from this shithole, whatever this fucking thing is.
I think. I mean,
Well, tell me why. Okay, so tell me how did that make the scene for it follows? I'm not dissing the.
Well, can you
music.
think of a specific scene where the music really contributed, or are you thinking of the movie in general?
the movie in general. I mean, there's certain like jump scares, like the tall man in the hallway when he pops
That
up.
was a good scene.
That like, or actually even just the beginning of the movie, that like the driving like, it had like those Carpenter elements.
Yeah.
Which is I think is another reason why the It Follows soundtrack was received so highly. Actually, I mean, with composers that I've spoken with, I've actually spoken with Disasterpiece, the composer, Richard Vreeland. He's a very nice guy. I actually got to chat with him over Facebook. Actually,
That's cool.
yeah, he was super cool. Really, like he was really receptive to questions. But I think the reason why people loved it is because it was a callback. The entire score, not the movie, but the score was a callback to like 80s horror movies like John Massari or Henry Manfredini or John Carpenter. But I totally can see why you would think that the stylization of the music does not match the stylization of the movie.
Yeah, that's actually really interesting that you said that, because I mean, what a lot of people are saying about It Follows is they can't fix what time period it's set in. But the music is a callback all to basically one spot, which is a mismatch between what the movie is and what the music is, which could be why it's a little jarring for Nick.
I think I might be the only one.
No, you're not the only one.
No shade to Disasterpiece. Great music.
No, it was amazing.
More the director. But okay, so we composed a little bit of list of ours, and we want to see what you think.
Oh, yes,
Put your expertise in there. I have the one that I know is on your list, but I'm gonna start from the top here, because this is gonna be fucking hilarious if I nail it. Do you want to go first, George? What's one on your list?
Well, so I'm not. This is not music and horror is not my strong point. So my list is pretty pedestrian. But like I have an example of it was the use of a song. It's not the score itself, where it totally took me out of the movie entirely.
We're on worst now?
Yeah. Oh, what do you want to do?
Let's do.
Do you want to do best first?
Let's do best.
Okay.
Let's do best.
So for me, my best experience of music in a horror movie is Christine. Like,
Oh, yeah. Okay.
by far. I know it's Carpenter. I know, but I feel like there were two things going on there. Where with Carpenter, a lot of times it's one great thing going on. Like in Halloween, the music is all converging on one great point, which is your dread, right?
Yeah.
And jump scare, but basically that's what it's trying to do. In Christine, the use of the songs was contributing to like the narrative of the movie itself. Like there's this amazing moment where someone's trying to break into Christine. They're like pulling on her door, and her radio flares on, and this song starts playing. You can keep on knocking, but you can't come in. Right.
Right, yeah.
And you're just watching that, going, "This car is fucking with you with music." Right. So like,
Right.
but. At the end, when the confrontation with Christine, I mean, I can literally, it's the sound I hear first. Like if I close my eyes and picture the scene, it's black. I don't see anything. I hear that like ting sound, and then I see her headlights come on. But it's right, exactly. But it's one of the only movies where if I try to think of a scene, I hear something before I see it.
I think that's the thing with actually a lot of Carpenter movies. And I know, like, everyone brings up John Carpenter, especially when horror is brought up, but he's had such a large influence on the music, the scoring, I think.
Totally.
So it's hard not to bring him up. You know?
Right.
He's sort of like the godfather of all horror, though, so it's hard to like not talk about horror and bring him up.
Yeah, and he does everything right. And he brings in the percussive things you're talking about, the high pitched things that make you nervous. Like all of that is.
Yeah, and it's weird. Like his music is pretty. Like the tracks themselves are very simplistic, musically speaking. But there's something about that works. Right. It just works.
So there's all kinds of like amazing. We talked about this right before the show, but I love Philip Glass's rescore of Dracula.
Oh,
right?
It's incredible.
Which is an amazing, and even the original one I like as well. So like you're just picking from winning there, but like I mean, there's just amazing examples of that. But I can't. The one that just jumps into my head that I can't ignore is that I feel like Christine is a slightly above average movie with some great points and it with a magical tone that you can't duplicate, but not like the greatest movie ever made. But the music is like just next level magic, right?
And just to jump off of your Philip Glass, actually, and I have a hard time pronouncing this guy's name, Wojciech Kilar, the guy who did Bram Stoker's Dracula. Fucking love that score. You hear that, man? And like I mean, same thing with, like you did with with Christine. You close your eyes, you kind of see it with that score and like da 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 da, like you fucking like understand like
Totally.
like the gravity of the situation in Dracula. Like you get the feel for what that guy's going for. You get the feel of like how big this fucking story's about to be.
It's really
And
bombastic.
Oh yeah, and like bum bum, like you were talking about the percussions. Like it has this.
Brahms burst. It's like, Hans Zimmer has brought that back into like, well, not brought that back. It's always been around, but it's like those like those heavy percussive elements.
Oh, and it's just such a striking fucking score. Like just to jump off the Philip Glass, I had to bring.
No,
that in
that's
there.
great. Okay, so that's your best.
That's my best. I have a few other ones that I like, and then I actually have. I want to get the second one off because I'm curious to see what you guys you think, and I pick all the ones with names I'm terrible at pronouncing, so I'm sorry if I butcher these ones. But my next one is Marco
Beltrami.
Beltrami.
Yep.
I loved his score for Resident Evil.
That's an amazing score.
I love Marco's work in general. He's just a really, like, you can immediately pick out. I can like immediately pick out, like, whenever I hear him, like, oh, that's Marco for sure. I'm not familiar with Resident Evil though, actually. I've seen it, but it's been years, and I've only seen it one time.
It stuck with me because I'm sitting there like writing down the list for the show, like what the fuck else? And then I remember that music came on, and it was this. It fits the fucking time that movie came out, like that early 2000s when like technology was starting to like really fucking boom with like all like the Xboxes, MP3 players, and all that shit. It had this weird, not techno-y, but not like electronic, like a small like electronic sound to it, and he used that in there along with these like video game like kind of rock tracks. So it wasn't like your typical score like the one for Dracula where it's this big orchestral piece. This one's kind of electronic-y, slight video game sound, but still really fucking eerie.
So he nailed it. Like that's what the movie is. So
Exactly,
Right.
and that's why I thought it was so perfect for that first movie. I don't know if he scored the other ones, but I just remember that first one really fucking stuck with me.
You like him? Do you know any other ones off the top of your head?
The Scream
no
trilogy.
Shit. That's on my list.
No, dude, like,
I didn't even know he did it. It's on my
yeah,
list.
no, he's so like versatile. Like, it's crazy. You'll see movies, and at the end, you're like, oh my god, that was Marco Beltrami, or there's sometimes you can just like it's him.
Right.
So,
But he's incredibly versatile, but he has a very distinct style. It's but
Who's the most versatile
Most
that's
versatile?
working now?
ooh, that is a good question.
Because I really like that concept. Because John Carpenter's amazing, but he's not versatile. Like his music
No, he does.
isn't
Yeah,
right.
he
Exactly
does.
right.
He does his thing.
Right.
That's a good question. James Newton Howard, I think, is brilliant.
Okay.
Because he does not only like a lot of horror movies, like he does a lot of like the M. Night Shyamalan scores. Specifically, his score for Signs, I think, is absolutely brilliant.
I almost put
cool.
that on the list.
Oh, it's so good. Oh, yeah, and I know M. Night gets a lot of flack, understandably so, but I also still really like M. Night, and I love Signs.
We saw his, what was his last
The
his last
Visit?
film? I love that movie.
I haven't seen it yet.
You should check it out.
I
That's
want
a,
to. I
That's a
want
good
to.
one. That's a good one. Okay, so tell us some of yours. What are some ones that made your list?
Oh, Goblin, Suspiria, immediately. I absolutely love that
Sure.
score.
That's great.
That they're incredible.
They also did
Dawn of the Dead.
Dawn of the Dead.
Yeah.
That's a very unique sound for
Yeah.
for those guys. So okay, so what about them? What
Suspiria, it's the weird vocal chanting they're doing, like that la la la, like that like it's just like it's so unnerving, and for that to be on top of like this really kind of like progressive alt rock kind of orchestral music it was just unique, and I can't really think of like, aside from like maybe Rosemary's Baby, that kind of reminds me of it. And I think that who was that that was Christoph Komita did Rosemary's Baby. That's a really good score as well. But I actually enjoy the Goblin score to Suspiria more than I enjoy the movie.
that's fair.
I
Yeah,
still
that-
like the movie. Don't get me
Right.
wrong, but I could listen to that score every day. But I couldn't watch the
Watch
movie
the movie every day.
There's a few composers like in terms of just listening to it every day. Like I could probably listen to the Brothers in Arm tracks from Junkie XL and Mad Max
Oh yeah.
Every day,
well, I do.
every hour.
Yeah.
Okay, what else? What else do you got? I see you got a pretty heavy.
Wait. No, he brought up something really interesting. I just wanted to hit real quick because this is so intriguing to me. Like, it sounds like sometimes there can be like happy accidents, right? Where you didn't plan it in advance. Like the music is one weird thing laid over another weird thing that you would never put together, and then it just works, right? Is that like you can't plan for that, right? That just happens.
No, I mean like happy accidents do happen, just like it does in the editing process. You can mess something up, but like there was a track I did one time. It wasn't a horror movie, but it was it was 3 days actually, where I accidentally like bumped the piano track over, but because it was slightly off time, it sounded cool, so I just
that's
kept it
awesome.
that way.
That's what I'm talking about.
So yeah, that can
Right.
totally happen. I can't think of any horror scores that I know.
No, you did. That's cool. I just wanted to see if there was an example of that when you actually were doing it, and that's amazing.
Oh yeah, it was the 3 days the movie we worked on.
Some we both worked on. That's
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah.
Great example.
All right. What other great has to be on the list things do you have?
28 days later.
No way.
I wrote it down. In a House in a Heartbeat.
Yeah. Oh yeah. For 28 days later.
I knew it.
Nick called it. He wrote this in advance before Alex. Okay.
Yeah, I think John Murphy's incredible, and he's only he scored so like a small amount of films. It doesn't make sense. I don't understand why he doesn't seem to enjoy it. If I'm not mistaken.
Oh, really?
He just kind of fell into it.
That makes that actually makes sense. Yeah, you hear about a lot of. There's an old horror writer that I like, who used to be editor for Twilight Zone magazine, named T.E.D. Klein, and he has written maybe one novel and 2 books of short stories max in like 30 years, and he's like, it's just so painful for writing. Is so painful for me. I hate it.
Yeah.
Like, and people would publish him in a heartbeat if he did, but it's just it's not pleasant, so he doesn't do it. Though.
Yeah, I think that's the case with John. He also did the score for Sunshine.
That's the one that gets me every time because they used Adagio in D minor.
Kaneda's Death. Yeah.
Oh.
That always like even just thinking about it gives me goosebumps.
Such a good.
That's
song.
And
awesome.
but it's, again, that track very simplistic musically speaking. It's a very simple progression, but it does it's so much emotion and power behind it. Like it still gets you every time.
Now, if you had heard that music first without being in the movie, would it have any impact on you, or did it had to be matched with the images to?
That's the thing. It kind of depends on the track. Like I know you and I disagree on Interstellar immensely.
Oh, yeah,
but
we
I
talked
heard
about that. Yeah.
I heard Interstellar score before I saw the movie, and I fell in love with it. I was
Okay.
just blown away. But there are some times where it has to accompany the image, which sometimes sucks as a composer because you'll get like someone would put temp tracks in their films. And they'll fall in love with it. It's temp love is what it's called. And essentially, the director will be like, all right, I want you to get as close to this without committing plagiarism.
Right.
So,
that sucks.
yeah. And it's hard to like, because you have to replicate the emotion that they felt. And they're not understanding that they're connecting with this track because
Because
of
it
how
paired with what they saw.
Yes,
Right.
exactly. And
Right.
it's like,
And if they gave another totally different sound a chance,
yeah. Oh yeah. and
it
they
would have
just-
worked. But
They're stuck with that. But
Huh.
yeah, it's so easy to.
Didn't something similar happen to the movie 2001, where Kubrick put classical music in as a filler placeholder, and then when they composed the score, he was just like, "No, I'm keeping."
Honestly, I'm not sure. That would not surprise me knowing about Kubrick.
Right.
But John Murphy's in a House in a Heartbeat. Fucking, that's a good pick anywhere.
Yeah,
That song makes
track
me
is
want to
awesome.
run.
Yeah. Oh, that is legit on my jogging playlist. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Nothing puts a pep in your step like that too.
That's testament to power.
What else you got? You got a big old list.
Oh yeah, there's a bunch of things I could go into.
Which one stands out to you?
Let's see. Oh, of course, and well, Ennio Morricone for The Thing, but I keep bringing up Carpenter because clearly I'm a giant Carpenter fan.
Sure,
so
but that's a good
we'll
one.
skate over. Okay,
That's
yeah,
a-
well,
That
that's
is,
fair.
yeah.
That's fair.
and it was so different for Ennio too. Mm-hmm. If you compare it to like all of his like
How so?
Western Ennio does he did like The Good, the Bad,
Right,
and the
right.
Ugly.
But how was it different?
It's different because he did more like electronic, and he usually didn't. By that point, was not really doing a lot of electronic tracks. If you compare it to like the score he did for even the Hateful 8, it's like this like awesome like dark Western, like spaghetti Western music, and then to like, and if you listen to a lot of the tracks from The Thing, it sounds like John Carpenter. It sounds like a
Interesting.
Carpenter score, which
Right.
is so weird. And if I'm not mistaken, I think The Thing won a Razzie that year, or something equivalent to a Razzie for worst score.
That's ridiculous.
Yeah, which because like Ennio is like a god.
Right, of course. See, I feel like so, but this could be totally wrong. Tell me if this is wrong. I feel like if a movie is complex, then it might be harder to score for because you're going for more complex things. Like if I was approaching The Thing, like a slasher movie is one thing, right?
Right, yeah.
And The Thing is sort of paced like a slasher movie, but there's all kinds of other stuff going on there that I feel like musically I would be like, I don't even know how to match that, right? Like this isn't like Dread. It's almost like disgust and rage and
Yeah, no,
right.
Yeah, that's usually with like psychological thrillers, you'll have more like orchestral scores, or you'll have like you were just saying, like with slashers, it's usually like the sharp, stabby kind of like scary stuff. Or I'm trying to like more pizzicato or like staccato. It's like that's the sound of like the strings, just like it sounds like you're slicing them.
Right.
I'm trying to think of like a really beautiful like orchestral score. Oh, the Witch.
Yes.
That score.
Such a good movie.
Yeah, how I would explain it is I was raised Catholic, so naturally I'm currently an atheist. But
Naturally.
that movie, like, condensed 18 years, 20 years of being raised with, like, the guilt and the fear that religion can, like, throw on you. They condensed that into, like, an hour and a half. I could, like, the movie's brilliant. I will never watch it again.
Right.
And the score, man, it's just like that dread, like those, like the droning. Oh my gosh. Oh, Mark Corvin, he did this score for The Witch, and it's
Gotcha.
brilliant.
right.
And it totally adds to the dread is there, and it's in the music.
So if this is a totally naive question, just blow it off. But like, it makes me curious. Any horror movie you're working on musically, you're going to be dealing with certain emotional elements. You're surprise, dread, et cetera, et cetera. The Witch is set almost entirely outside.
Right.
Right. I feel like that would affect me if I was trying to make music for it.
Oh,
right. But
certainly.
I don't know how that it would affect me. Like I don't know what to listen for in the movie. Like, what did he use? Different kind of instruments you wouldn't use in a movie that was set indoors? Is it like
I think because it was set in like what
the period? Is,
yeah.
right. Is what you're gonna say.
yeah,
right?
I was going to say the period and outside. He used all organic instrumentation. Like it's all violins. I think it might just be a quartet actually.
Oh wow.
So there's like nothing electronic in it. The only thing that was electronic that they used were the things they recorded the instruments with.
Right.
But it's all things that were handmade. Violins, with
cool.
like just a little bit of dead cat hair on
Sure.
top of that would totally affect it.
Oh, that's amazing.
Like a sci-fi movie, I guarantee except for Jerry Gold oh my gosh, I just forgot his name. Goldstein. Oh my gosh, he did the score for Aliens. Mm-hmm. That's actually a pretty big bombastic space movie, but I don't recall any like electronic elements in the score. But you would think there would be.
Right. Well, yeah, but it's a haunted house story, so maybe he
Yeah.
was just like, I'm going to keep it with the claustrophobic.
Yeah.
Right, right.
Oh yeah, for sure. The location of a movie could certainly change the way you write for it.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's the kind of thing that it's, how you choose the instruments is one thing. And then kind of there were so many shots in that movie of basically loneliness, right? Like it's that famous scene from Lawrence of Arabia where he's standing in the desert and it's like the entire screen is just anything but humanity in this one little speck, right? Yeah. And there were similar shots in The Witch, and I feel like musically you could kind of address that,
Right. Yeah. Part of scoring is also knowing when not to put music down.
Oh, really?
And
How?
Like The Witch, like you were mentioning, how like there are periods of loneliness, and sometimes just letting the character sit without any accompaniment, but maybe just the sound of like the wind blowing. That's part of a score, really. Just like knowing when to step back.
Oh, that's cool.
But that's the hardest thing. Me as a composer, I score wall to wall, which is bad. It's bad because sometimes, you know, I will lose a lot of, like, I'll write and maybe like 50% of the music will get cut, which I understand because that's just how I write, especially for shorts. I'll do like quadruple the amount of work I need to do. But
Right.
I dig it though.
Well, I'm the opposite. I turn in one note. I'm like, this is my score.
Yeah.
I'm leaving the characters to. I'm a genius, and they're like, no.
The audience will fill it in for me.
Yeah, exactly.
They'll fill it out. All right. So what else we got, George? What do you got on yours? What's another good one?
Literally the only other thing I had for best was what he covered with Scream. But the reason I wanted to bring it up was because it was kind of a pair for me, because for the first time ever, I recently saw Deadly Blessing, which I think is also Wes Craven, very old.
I have not seen it.
And it's like Sharon Stone, and she's like 21 in the movie. So it's way back. It's a throwback. And the music is everything that's wrong with horror music. And I wonder if it's just because the director is, well, not everything is wrong, but a lot is wrong. But I mean, if this is one of his first movies, then maybe that's part of, I don't know how that process works. Like, as a director, do you learn how to use music better as you go too? Or is it just who you happen to pick?
It could be both. A lot of times, budgetary constraints will keep a good musician from being able to like hire session players, so they have to do everything themselves.
Okay.
Which can be difficult. I mean, that's what I have to do though. Actually, it's easier now.
Right.
Back then, they didn't have like all these crazy MIDI instruments that I can use. Like I pretty much have like an orchestra at my fingertips, so I can like sketch something out that sounds pretty decent.
Right.
But back then, yeah, like a lot of those like late 70s, early 80s scores where they're all just using like a Prophet 5 keyboard.
Right.
Which is weird. Like I love that now. Like it's like a weird like nostalgia thing, which is probably explains the immense popularity of Stranger Things.
Right.
Which we'll talk about. I would like to talk about
Yeah, for
Stranger
sure.
Things
That
because
was a good one.
that one's incredible. Yeah, Kyle Dixon, I think. He's one of the composers. But yeah, where I talked
Yeah, no, and that was the thing, was like everything in this movie was every time someone fell downstairs or saw a spider or whatever, it sounded like 3 orchestras wanted to alert me that something was happening.
Oh, yeah.
And it was just a jumbled mess. But then flash forward to Scream, which is same director and just so polished and executed and perfect. And it fascinates me, like when you're working with the same kind of artist, but you get 2 different totally results, like, you know.
Oh yeah, I think it's just maturity. Plus Marco Beltrami, the composer, just kind of knew also like what I think it's just the collaboration between the two. Because I mean, it's very seldom where like you score a movie without any input from the director. And by seldom, I mean it never happens. You always have, your director will always give you kind of a direction. Obviously, that's what they're supposed to do. Like when I work with a director, I'll usually sit down with them. We'll, have dinner, whatever, drinks, whiskey,
Yes.
and just discuss like what type of sound you want. Like,
Right.
Like what is your palette? Like say you're painting a house, you want these colors. Like what instruments do you want? Do you want guitar? Do you want orchestral music? Do you want like violin?
Right.
Woodwinds? And then you just have that dialogue about like what type of sound they want. Or if you want something more experimental, like Mark, another Beltrami story. He for this movie he did last year with Tommy Lee Jones. I can't remember what it's called, but he recorded a piano like on top of a mountain because he wanted the sound of like the wind, or I don't know.
That's great.
That's
which
so
is
cool.
cool, but
Right.
yeah, incredibly impractical, but very cool.
Well, but that's what happens. You sit down with the director, you have some whiskey, next thing you know, what's your palate? Mountain is
Yeah,
my palate.
mountain.
Okay, well, there you go.
Yeah,
I want the sound of the wind. Get the intern. He's blowing the mic.
Easier solve. Yeah, there it was. All right, let's go into the bad because I want to bag on
okay,
something.
yeah. I only have a few things, but I also have a point about the worst music. It was hard for me to choose that because like all of the worst ones that I have also happen to be some of the worst movies.
Right.
And I think it's because like coming from a composer's perspective, if I'm working on a movie and I know it's bad, I somehow try to convince myself that it's the greatest thing I've ever seen. And I can usually.
Right.
And I feel like even with bad horror movies, you can have incredible scores.
Sure.
So it's difficult.
Yes.
But I would like to hear what you guys say. And I know you already put It Follows.
You know what's funny though?
heartbreaking.
Just real quick though, is you mentioned Stranger Things, and I'm like, yeah, fucking great. Same style of like that electronic music, but in Stranger Things, I fucking loved it.
It's because it's exactly what you said earlier. It's because it's stylized just like the pieces, the movie is stylized,
It
so the
matches.
show is.
Yeah.
And I think that's what threw you off. But I was okay with that.
For some reason. Oh yeah, I can't wait to get into Stranger Things. But first, let's bash some bad.
Okay, yeah. Sorry, yeah.
Well, no, remember, music's not my start point. I only brought one, and it's kind of lame because it's a song and not music, so I fail here. But it literally, it's the only thing I could think of where I ended up walking away from a movie and it taking me a year to give it another chance, just because I got so aggravated with what happened. Okay,
Right.
so it's not exactly a horror movie, but like I have a thing with David Lynch. So Lost Highway,
Okay.
right? Interesting music in Lost Highway. And then there's these scenes where they're trying to portray rage, and every time someone gets angry, they play Rammstein, or right. And the thing that really bothers me about it is, first of all, the beginning of the song is them saying that name, and it's like it takes them 30 seconds to spit it out. It's like a wind up of a pitch, right? So once it's pissing you off, now you got to wait for it for like whatever. And the second part was I found that I dislike when you're trying to portray an outright emotion to me musically. It's hard for me if you're playing a song at me that has words in it. I would rather it just be music, right? And as soon as they start singing, like I feel like I'm at a concert and not in your fucking movie.
Right, yeah.
Right. And it takes me out of the scene. And I know it was because it's this hyper aggressive sound, right? But like everything that happened while they were talking that was intense, and if there was no sound, visually would have been intense, it just came off as comical to me. And I just shut it down. I was like, fuck this movie. I'm walking away. And I actually liked the movie a lot. It's not one of my favorite of his movies, but I do like it a lot. I gave it another chance later on. I still don't like that happen, but it's the only music that ever pushed me out of the room of a good movie.
Right. You go.
Oh, I just want to mention you brought up the music having words in it, taking you out. Which I have a film which actually has one of my favorite like pieces of music, but that same film also fucks me up, and I hate the music choices they did. So the composer is Joseph Bashara. He's a cat that works. He worked with James Wan on Insidious and The Conjuring. And I love the music in the beginning where it does that violin shrills.
Yeah. Oh, it's horrifying.
Every fucking time, it shivers up my
I
spine.
literally, yeah. Again, it's
Right?
But that same fucking movie, just like how you didn't like Rammstein, when they showed the monster in Insidious, they play fucking Tiptoe Through the Tulips from Tiny Tim.
Tiny Tim, that freaky dude.
And like I get what they were going for because it's a
Right,
weird
right.
fucking song,
Right,
but
right.
like that one, that's the fucking one.
That can be annoying actually when they try to do like a kind of cutesy, creepy.
Ironic kind of thing.
Yeah, like it worked for like Nightmare on Elm Street, like the
1, 2, Freddy's
two.
gonna be, yeah, sure,
Yeah.
sure, absolutely.
Well, and I had an honorable mention just so I don't want to just shit on a movie and not like give one that I thought played it well. But I thought Blue Moon and American Werewolf.
Yeah,
they
great.
played a song with those words.
Yep.
Playing the Blue Moon as the full
Yep.
moon is fucking changing.
Yep.
Perfect fucking way to play a song in an ironic
Good placement, right?
kind of way. But yeah, the Tiptoe.
It's hard
No.
to pull off that sing-songy, like, thing. I remember the first time that I encountered Alfred Hitchcock Presents, the TV show, which has that, like, Dance of the Marionette song that starts it. And it's so, like, kind of lilting and, like, non-threatening, right? And then his little silhouette comes out and he tells a joke. And I'm like, for the first 2 minutes of watching it, I'm like, this is not horror. I'm watching a stand-up routine.
Yeah,
Like,
this is really
what's
pleasant.
happening, right?
Yeah.
But then the jokes got dark and the show turned dark, and then the song turned dark and retroactively in my head. I was like, oh, that is creepy. Right? So that kind of works, right? Like if you do it right, but definitely not
Not that.
Tiny Tim.
Not that. All right. So what do you got for us, Alex? What's some ones that as a composer you saw and you're like, what the fuck is that?
I Queen of the Damned. Have you guys seen that?
Oh, good call.
With,
It's like a bunch of like turn of the century cock rock. It's just like that's like
That is a good call. I hate the music in that
yeah,
movie.
it's just God. I mean, it's more like licensed music that they like recreated with like I think Wayne Static
Sure.
and the guy from Korn.
Oh no.
They were both supposed to be the singer. What is that? The actor's name? Townsend, Stuart Townsend.
Right.
I don't. Well, that's also just because I don't like that genre of music.
Right.
Just garbage. And actually, Carpenter. There's a Carpenter movie that's guilty of that as well. Ghosts of Mars.
Oh yeah.
That like
Yeah.
weird. Like I don't like that. Like just rock.
Right. No.
It just sounds like new metal, mall metal. That's what like
Mall metal.
Yeah, that's
I've
like
never heard that.
it's like
That's
this would play
unfortunate.
outside a Hot Topic in like 2004, and
Oh,
you're
that's
just like, oh
perfect.
my god.
Yeah, that's
Oh.
that is a good call. You brought your A game. What else was bad on there? I like this.
Manos, The Hands of Fate.
Oh,
of course, the
right,
score
right.
for that.
That's
I mean,
George's favorite movie.
That is my favorite movie.
only if you're watching the Mystery Science
Yeah,
Theater
for
one.
sure.
That is so good.
Yes.
But I remember Torgo's theme being particularly.
Offensive.
But again, that's because they had no budget.
Right.
And like, you know,
Right.
didn't like 4 people commit suicide after that movie?
I've heard so many things.
I don't
yeah,
know.
it's depressing. But that's the thing is though that honestly, I really believe that they thought that was coming off as creepy.
No, yeah.
Right,
It just
like
sounds
they-
dopey. Like it sounds like I was gonna say it sounds like the Oompa Loompa music, but that's actually legit terrifying.
right. That is.
Yeah.
No, it sounds like what the guy's shirt looks like.
Yeah.
Is
Or like his weird stuffed goat pants.
Right.
I don't get that. That was so weird.
No, that was bad.
Silent Night, Deadly Night 2. But again,
Oh,
it's just a
right.
terrible movie that
Right.
also just didn't have a good soundtrack.
Right.
You don't pick up the soundtrack for Silent Night, Deadly Night 2 and think this is gonna have some good shit on it.
You do not.
Right. Good point.
But I can't think of any other music, like off the top of my head, of music that just betrays the movie.
Okay. I think Queen of the Damned was it.
That's the one.
for
That's
me.
You
That's
mentioned that the Blair Witch 2 was guilty of that.
the book one.
Book of Shadows.
Well, that one betrayed the original movie entirely.
But
Right.
I think it opens up with like Marilyn Manson, isn't that right?
It's another. Oh yeah, just like the remake of House on Haunted Hill, which I actually kind of like that movie. It's kind of fun.
I like that one
It's
but
not
it
bad.
has the same like
Guilt.
mall metal crap.
because it came
in
out in that early 2000s when
That
they
was-
were like Limp Bizkit's number 1 on the charts. This is what America likes.
Yeah, like that was my least favorite.
Can
like,
these movies be rescored? Is this a Kickstarter project?
that would
Can
be.
we-
I'd be down.
You know what's sad? I love the remake of House on Haunted Hill, and I did not know that. So like, I'm bracing myself to like look it up tomorrow morning and be like, "Oh fuck, this is gonna be rough."
Well, no, some of the music like is fine, but they also do that thing where they license all that shit music. Like I
Right.
think the opening credits is a Marilyn Manson song.
Terrible.
Yeah, awful, awful.
God
call.
damn it. All right, well,
Well, that segment was everything I hoped for. That was some great, terrible music.
good choices. I would have never thought of Queen of the Damned.
Let's do Stranger Things before we wrap up this segment. I'm really interested in
Yeah.
what you got.
As soon as I saw like the opening credits of that, I was actually in Big Bear in a cabin. It was dark and like I just
perfect.
wanted to start something. I was
Right.
like, this looks great because I just like a friend of ours worked on it.
Who worked
Chris
on it?
Tung.
Chris Ward. Oh,
He did post.
Oh, that's
He
awesome.
did some post work on it, and as soon as the credits kicked in, you see that font, like the way they shot, with like the glowing red behind it, and it sets you. It's like the baby of Stephen King and John Carpenter, and it's just kind of everything I wanted in a TV series. It's like
Right.
it was like junk food, pretty much.
Right.
Like it's not super deep, but it's just a fun story, and the music, they nailed it. That whole '80s throwback, and which I'm so pissed off about, to be completely honest, because I'm working on this feature and I've been signed on for it for over a year, and they shot it all last summer, like early last summer, and I saw a cut of it, and I started doing like tracks for it, and I was like, I want to do an '80s throwback because I've had this feeling, this like this '80s like. There was gonna be this love coming back for like '80s horror and like the music, and like I have like 20 tracks that are like
no.
sound very similar to like the Stranger. I mean, their music sounds better. I love the Stranger. The Kyle Dixon and I can't remember the other guy who composed it, but they're from the band Survive. That was their first time ever writing to picture.
That's amazing.
Damn.
Yeah, they had music in some other movie. I can't remember what it was. One is in like tracks in Drive,
Right.
and then another. I can't remember the other movie that came out after that.
Would they have been guided by like a team, or did they just pull this off because they're amazing?
They, if I'm not mistaken, the movie that I can't remember that they scored, the director, the Duffer Brothers, saw that movie, and they're like, okay, we need to find this band to survive. They're in Texas. Let's just go down there. We'll catch a show. So they caught a show, and afterwards, like, hey, you know, we have this project. If you guys are interested in it, we loved the tracks we heard from. Oh my God, why can't I remember? The Guest. The Guest.
Okay.
Okay, yeah, they
Perfect.
did. A lot of their music is in The Guest.
Okay.
And they're like, sure. Like, if you look at their IMDb, they have one thing, and it's Stranger Things, and they fucking knocked it out of the park.
It's amazing.
I'm so jealous. I actually got, like I said, I got to speak with, I reached out to Kyle Dixon. He's one of the composers
Sure.
for Stranger Things. Just like Disaster Piece, really cool, really open, like, down to talk. They're using a bunch of, like, old, like, analog synthesizers, like a Prophet 5, which is what I've been trying to desperately get my hands on, but, like, they're like $4,000.
Of course they
It's
are.
like more expensive than my car, and it's just but they've got like just a wall mount of just like all these like vintage gear, and like I just like drool seeing pictures
That's
of it.
great.
And man, they really set the tone
Yeah.
in that show. Like it feels like if like 20 years from now or like 40 years from now somebody watches that show and didn't know that it was made in 2016, they would probably think it was maybe produced in the 80s.
That's.
I think,
amazing.
and
Yeah.
I think a lot of that has to do with the music.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's really cool.
Alex even downloaded the track, the opening theme.
Not me.
No,
Yeah.
the other
Yes.
Alex
Yes.
who's been on the show.
Yeah. You're Alex. Yes.
My Alex. Yeah, she's good fucking music, man.
I may
Yeah.
have downloaded it too.
That's so good. They did a good job. They did a good job. All right, so we got another segment here. We want to talk about a scene that people don't talk about.
No, I read that question wrong initially. I just realized that I didn't see that no one talks about. All mine are pretty obvious. Like, okay,
It's fine.
okay, the big scary moment in Signs. What's the moment you guys remember?
The watching the alien on TV.
Yes.
Alien walks right on by.
Yeah, that moment is like that uses music perfectly.
That's
Oh, cool. Yeah, that's a great. Yeah.
that's a perfect answer.
But I think inversely, the Blair Witch Project, the original,
Really?
uses no music.
Right.
And it works. I think that, if you want like a hipster answer,
That's a good hipster answer.
that's
Yeah, I
think,
did the score for that.
Like,
I'm glad
yeah,
George did.
yeah,
There's one note you missed. I was.
that like that's just all tonal stuff. There's no like, if I'm remembering correctly, there's like no music,
Right. No, I don't remember any music.
and I
at all.
think it works. Like it doesn't need music. But what about you?
I'm straight. I just want to go on IMDb and just see if they credited a composer,
I'm gonna tag myself in it.
just for shits and giggles.
I was 7 when I did that.
Awesome. Nice job.
See, I don't actually have one for.
I
for
don't
hipsters.
either. I
We
was
were-
just curious about
yeah,
what you read.
You're the pro.
All mine were. I like I said. I
No,
must
no,
have
that's
been-
perfect. Signs is great. That's a great place to point for, because that's something I think that it's interesting to do, to push yourself sometimes, is just like you shouldn't have friends who just all think the way you do.
Mm-hmm.
You shouldn't just watch the things that are just in the genre that you like, or the
Mm-hmm.
subgenre that you like. You should push yourself. And I'm not a big M. Night fan, but I probably didn't even get through all of Signs, but now you've given me a reason to rewatch it just for the music, which means it's going to
Yeah.
be more enjoyable for me.
If
right?
not, just listen to the score, man. Like Signs isn't even close to one of my favorite horror movies, but
Right.
that score is one of my. I'd put that in my top maybe 30 favorite scores like of all time.
Amazing. Okay, that's
Yeah,
cool.
for films in general. It's just so good.
Yeah, I love finding stuff
I'll
like
admit
that
it.
out.
I'm a little too frightened to listen to it.
That like that little.
It's that intense.
Yeah,
Huh?
it's just.
Did he ever pair with that composer again?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Oh, he
James
did.
Newton Howard did. I think.
So he's
like
done-
all of his movies.
Oh no shit. Okay.
And his score is always
What's his number 2 best with?
Sixth Sense.
Okay,
Yeah.
that makes sense.
Yeah, like that score is so great. Like Malcolm's theme is just like, it's heartbreaking because it is. Like,
Right.
wait, Malcolm, that's the name of the main character, right? Isn't it Malcolm? Oh my God.
I think so.
Now I'm just forgetting. But yeah, dude, I think that's James Newton Howard's like second best score.
Very cool.
That's
well,
a
with
good one.
M. Night, because he also did very good work with Christopher Nolan and Hans Zimmer. And
Yeah, that's a pretty strong combo.
Yeah, it's a stupid strong combo. I love Hans Zimmer, dude. I want to see him score a horror movie.
Oh, that'd be pretty cool. That'd be interesting.
I always thought it would be cool if like they remade not Friday the 13th, sorry, Nightmare on Elm Street, and Christopher Nolan just decided to do it since he loves like dreams and like messing with time, and then Hans Zimmer scoring that.
Wow,
Anyway.
that would be interesting.
It'd be goofy, but
It would work. It would work. I wonder if it would be more drama oriented, and now we have Daisy playing with the toys. In the background.
I hear that. Well, it would work, and then after the movie came out, you guys could argue about it because you argue about Christopher Nolan all the time.
yeah, we could.
Or Hans Zimmer. See, but I liked him when he teamed up with Junkie XL for the Wonder Woman theme. That is an on point song right there.
Yeah.
Okay, so now
Yeah, we're really, really excited that our first guest is staying over for the rolling out of our ongoing new segment called Killer Questions. Like, we're really psyched about this. Thanks for staying for it because
and thanks to the fans.
that's
participating.
why we're psyched about it is that we couldn't anticipate the response being so great and a lot of the answers just being so creative and unique, and we decided because the response has been so great that the best thing to do with it is to create a segment where we get feedback from you in advance rather than you giving feedback after you hear the podcast, and then we can kind of discuss what you said and then give our own picks for whatever the question we posed was. So that's what the segment is.
All right, and so the first question.
The first question we're gonna cover one question in this segment. It was a question we posed on our Facebook page at Hello Weekly, which was, which horror movie character would you want at your side during a war? Right. So
I already know. I got and listen, to all the people who commented, you had some good answers, some questionable answers, but I know I had the best answer. So
confidence. I like.
I'm so fucking confident.
There were a couple of questionable answers, and there was a lot of repeats. So I can give the consensus. So I'm just going to go through real quick and give sort of the highlights of what the fans were saying, and then we can do roundtable and just kind of go through what we would pick, and we can talk about what they were saying too. Actually, we can do that in real time while I say them. So
Well, let's do it.
the first one was someone. Daryl P. named the Lycan brother that was locked away in Underworld. I don't remember which one. Which I think is William, right? So he just picked the huge hulking Lycan from Underworld.
That's not a bad one, though. If he's hulking out, well, he's after he's done killing the other side, he's gonna turn around and be like, "Who the fuck are these guys?"
Well, that's part of the problem with the question is you're assuming that whoever's fighting with you is going to stay loyal.
Which is
But
why my
I have-
answer is the fucking best.
But I have a thought on this, so
All right.
we'll get to that when we're done
Okay.
with this. All right. I really liked Andy's answer. Andy N said the Blair Witch, she'd make all the enemy soldiers stand in the corner.
That's a good one. That's a fun answer.
I don't think that's practical. I don't think that's going to work, but I like the imagination.
The idea behind it.
Yeah. Erica said Sam from Trick or Treat, which I think should please Nick.
That's if the war's on October 31st.
Good point.
You look at your calendar, you're going off to war November 1st, like, fuck,
Good point.
Sam's out of commission.
Bev said Damien, to which we replied he probably started the war.
Which is true.
Right. And then we got a couple Ellen Ripley's, which we all, I think, agreed was a great answer. But then you had an interesting...
Well, it depends. Well, I threw her in the same category as Ash Williams. Like, they're both very kick-ass characters. Ash, I think, he risked the chance of just getting shot in the dome. He's out. Same with Ripley. But if Ripley somehow had that suit she fought the thing in, I think that's a little more menacing, because
Right.
maybe, she can probably take out a few more people
Right.
than Ash would. I said Ash because I was thinking of he has the S Smart Steel, so his boomstick. But that's not my final answer. I'm a changed man.
I think Ripley's psychology makes me want to include her, right? Like, she's just going to
She would
survive
rally
whatever,
everyone up.
right? And exactly. And she looks out for the people around her, unlike picking Jason, who's going to fight with you because we're making him for the question, but doesn't give a fuck about you, right?
Ripley's a good one.
Jenny, my genius Jenny, said if it's a night battle, Freddy Krueger. I like that. Kill everyone in advance before the battle starts.
Hold for the plan.
Hold for the play.
Freddy, that's a good one. Freddy at night, or
Yep.
during a dream.
Cordelia got a little frustrated with everyone else's answer and put, "Come on, people, Carrie. You bring Carrie." She was pretty insistent on. She would wreak some havoc, yeah.
Yeah.
So when I first read that, I was like, I don't know. She's like a 90-pound human being. But then I was like, oh wait, yeah, those telekinetic powers could probably come in handy.
She
Right.
can crush crush you from the inside.
Yeah.
Right. So in the questionable category, sorry, Gary A. He said Regan from The Exorcist. I don't get that at all.
Terrifying, but not.
She's gonna spider walk and get shot.
Unless you had if it's like a medieval thing, instead of like the boiling oil, she's just leaning over the top of the tower barfing on everyone.
Well, you just need one Max von Sydow and she's gone.
Right. Yeah, exactly. I don't know what army we're facing here, but they've got him.
He's like 100 years old. He's still around.
He is still around. He's amazing.
Yes, he is.
We got Pennywise, which I sort of like. That's interesting, right?
That could work.
Alice, which was one of the better answers, yeah, from Resident Evil. Otis from Devil's Rejects. We got a bunch of Jason.
Nah. Otis. No.
Wait, which one's Otis? I'm so sorry. I try to avoid Rob Zombie movies.
I believe Otis is the like skinny looking blonde dude. Right?
Oh.
It's not Captain Spaulding's. I believe it's Otis.
Yeah,
I
okay.
think that's Otis. If I'm wrong, someone punch me in the face.
Well, is anyone from Devil's Rejects going to be viable as a fighting
No.
partner? No. Okay.
Absolutely. Maybe Rainn Wilson. House with House. I'd want Dwight on my side, just to tell the enemies why they're wrong.
We got Predator a couple times.
While we mentioned that before, while I think technically like he's the best hunter, that you have to be in his domain for that to work. If we're in the battlefield and the Predator comes out, Schwarzenegger's just gonna shoot you, get the minigun and night.
And then Night Predator.
Same with Alien. Sorry guys.
All right. The emperor of the questionable pile was Gar N, who put Frankenfurter.
I don't think that's just questionable. I think that's just wrong.
We're objectively wrong. Where's that?
I love Frankenfurter.
Unless he gets the enemy team to start doing the time warp, and while mid time warp, you just take them all out.
Okay. Well, he could be useful in that capacity.
But other than that, no.
Nick, as hard as you're trying to climb up the questionable pile, you slid off.
Yeah, I'm failing. Sorry, guys.
Kelly said the Invisible Man. Vinny said Pinhead.
Invisible Man. If you did like a sabotage, type film or type,
yeah, he's viable to like sneak behind the lines, right, and kind of.
Well, isn't Predator then in that?
Cause, yeah.
Yeah. And then all right, he's back in the running.
You're right. I mean, yeah, exactly.
Congratulations, Predator.
You're back in.
You're back in. We got T-Rex. I'm not sure Jurassic Park is even a horror. Someone said Dead Reckoning from Land of the Dead, which is not a character, but
The vehicle, right?
yeah, exactly.
It's good to have.
But yeah, but definitely useful to
Just
have.
to add to the questionable pile, I would add the shark from what was the movie we just saw?
Shallows?
The Shallows.
Yeah, well, yeah, he can eat steel and walk on
Yeah,
land.
he was
and
eating the fuck out of that thing.
He parties with drunk
You
people
got
on
a
the beach.
submarine? He's gonna chomp through that motherfucker.
I was going to ask if the Sharknado counted as like one entity.
That is an actual okay. We gotta figure.
That's
that
like
out.
throwing a grenade in the air, though.
Yeah.
That is, but that's actually.
That's a good.
Control it? I don't know.
I don't know that you can control it, but I think I'd give it as a one entity
Okay.
for.
I'll put it in question.
That's
Okay.
a good one.
Whatever.
Well,
I'll
but,
submit it to the
but
question.
George wouldn't let me put in the Necronomicon. If I had that,
Necronomicon's not a character.
That's a weapon, I guess.
yeah, that's
You're gonna get so mad at my top answer since I'm shutting you down in Necronomicon.
That's fine.
But it's not a
But
weapon.
I-
It's not a character.
But it's okay because I do have the best answer.
Yeah, right. We know that. Tyler was very specific. He named the Dracula from Dracula Untold,
Which is a good one. In the trailer, he was taking on armies, doing that cool bat shit, controlling all the bats and
Yeah,
stuff.
but the army's not gonna. The army you're facing in our question is not gonna be made out of CGI. It's not gonna work.
That's true. I mean, I don't know. Who is the army? Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. I'm imagining like a modern army.
No, his fighting moves are totally implausible. I'm not buying. I'm not buying Dracula from Dracula Untold.
I'm also not buying that's the start of their new monster universe.
Right. Yeah, that's a whole other issue. Stan said Godzilla and included a picture of Godzilla actually fighting an army.
And you have a good reason as to why that would fucking suck.
Right. That's good. Yeah, we're gonna get into that. Props to you. And then Rick closed it out with Christmas critters from South Park. So
Now that wins for most creative.
So you guys were amazing. We loved getting the feedback. So what we challenged ourselves to come up with picks that were not what you said. And since you said almost everything under the moon, you made our job very, very difficult. So I came up with 3 or 4 that I considered and was going to reject. I realize now looking at my list that I have to take one off because I was Pennywise. I had Pennywise. I didn't realize it was a comment. And then I was just like, it's going to distract me. I need to fight too. And just watching him run around in a clown suit is going to blow my
Well,
concentration.
refresh my memory. How did the kids defeat him in the book?
Right. We don't want, right. Yeah, we want.
This is going to be a battlefield of love. We ain't got time for that.
That's horrifying. Okay, so all right, let's go into what we were picking. I've been talking for a while, so someone go. Tell me.
Well, I want to hear Alex because I want to save best for last.
Okay.
I went with
Tell us who and why.
I went with Christine just because it can
love
just
that.
plow through everyone and it can regenerate itself.
Yes.
Also, you can jump inside of it if you need cover,
Yes.
and it's technically a sentient being.
Yes. Oh, it's totally a character. Absolutely. One of the best ever. Yeah.
And it like it repairs itself, right?
Yeah.
Isn't that one of the things? So you're practically indestructible unless you get crushed by a tank.
So
then it would.
I'm totally down with Christine. I think that's great, and I think you're gonna have more fun in the battle than almost anyone who picked anything because the music's gonna be amazing.
yeah, there you go.
While you're fighting, right? So
What's-
the problem is
real
that-
quick.
The problem, yes.
What song are you gonna listen to while you're mowing down enemies?
Oh my god. Oh.
Answer: Highway to Hell.
Yeah, I guess.
Highway to Hell.
That makes sense.
What's the Let the Bodies Hit the Floor song?
Oh no.
Now we're back to
Into
the
the
early
damn
2000s.
soundtrack.
No. All right. So the only problem I have with Christine is you're in trouble because remember the ending. Christine is going to charge at your opponent, and when she hits him, you're going to fly out the windshield.
Oh, that's valid. Well,
Right?
wear your seatbelt. Or don't be.
He might have been right. Like I don't. Well, yeah, standing side by side, you got a better shot. But
Yeah.
I wouldn't do the cover move because
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But she's
Well, if you did it like RC style, you're just like on a hill, just like left or right,
that's true.
flip.
Totally valid. No, that's a great choice. One of my favorite characters of all time. So
Me too.
That's a good one.
Nick.
All right, here's the winning answer.
No. Did you have ones you didn't do, or you just have a winning answer?
I just picked the best
All
answer.
right, let me go
wait,
because I have ones
yeah.
to reject. You go
Oh, I was gonna say the killer clowns.
Oh, yeah, that'd be fucked up.
Can't forget that.
again. Distracting. No clowns on the battlefield.
that's
Anyone-
true.
did anyone say the xenomorphs from Alien?
No one did. They said that in so many of our other questions, but no one said.
Because those are supposed to be like the perfect killing machines, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
So
for sure.
that would be probably another one of my runners up.
All right, I'm going to talk you through my ones who didn't make it, and then you tell me your best, and I'll tell you my best. Okay, so
Okay.
the problem I had with Godzilla was the question says you're fighting side by side with somebody, right? So that means that he's trying to take out the army across for you, but that does not mean that you can't accidentally get killed, right? So I don't want to be standing next to someone who's going to knock planes out of the air with their tail and blow up everything in front of me because I am assuredly going to die of collateral damage, right? Like you can't control Godzilla. You're in big trouble. So I was going to like Cthulhu would be, right? Like a choice, but I just feel like I'm just going to die from lack of caring on their behalf, right?
Right.
All right, so then I was going to go with for your hipster theme, I was going to go with the hipster answer of ScarJo's character from Under the Skin to see if she could invite the army into that black room and just take care of business right away. I like clean solutions, but I don't think that's practical. I don't think they're going to fit. And I really, really wanted to consider Asia Argento's character from Land of the Dead. I mean, I think she takes out like 20 people. She's a crack shot. She survives everything. She's badass. She looks out for the people who are with her, like just a killing machine, So I was like, all these are really good, but if she doesn't have Dead Reckoning with her, which he probably doesn't, then it's just us on a battlefield, and I don't know about that. So
No, he can't.
I've got my answers though. But you tell me, you have the best answer.
I got the best answer, and I will fist fight anyone who disagrees.
He's gonna get in a haunted car and
run my guy over, but he'll live because that guy is the headless horseman. And
And
here's why.
Yes.
Here's the key fucking
I
component.
have a feeling you're gonna say the same reason I almost picked King Kong, because you can communicate with.
You can absolutely, if you hold his fucking scully ass head, you can tell him whatever the fuck to do, and he's indestructible. He doesn't fucking die. You can shoot him. You can fill him full of lead. You can run him over. He's gonna get right the fuck back up.
Can you knock off an arm? Like what's the deal with that? Does it grow back or like reattach real quick?
Oh fuck! I didn't think of that. What about his
Christine's
horse?
the same.
Is that true? You guys are poking holes in my favorite.
No,
You're the best
well, keep
answer.
going on as to why though, because I still
No,
think
but
Headless
wait, before you
Horseman's
keep
great.
going, just I want you to understand the visual I have in my head of you guys on a battlefield, you holding a scully head.
Yeah.
I'm just ducked behind in the trench, just like go after the general.
I'm really liking this.
Go after the general.
But couldn't that also work against you? Whereas like if you are killed and somebody grabs the head, aren't they now in control?
I'll give it right back to the horseman. I'm like, horseman, I'm about to die, and then I'll fucking Kobe that shit right to him.
And just hope he's still aligned with you?
Yeah. Well, in the fucking movie, you remember the end? Depp's like horseman, and the fucking cheesy actually goes right his thing. There's got to be some kind of gravitational force to him, so I can just lob it like a
force
fucking
hammer.
grenade, and I'd be like, "You're done here."
Oh no!
Well, I mean, but then isn't he his own? He controls himself. Then he's aligned to nobody.
Well,
He'll
then
just
I
kill
know.
everybody.
I think his whole thing at then is he's like, I believe he's at peace at then. He's like, he's no longer in limbo. I feel like his body's like finally done. So then you can take care of it. Godzilla, once you win the war, you're like, okay, go back in the ocean now,
We'll miss you.
please.
He's going. No, that's the question. Gives you that. You're fine. You're totally good there. So, doing good.
Yeah, we'll hold. We'll hold for tsunami. Tsunami Johnny.
That was great though. We gotta leave that in. That was fantastic.
But I feel like he could take out. He would be able to take out.
We're not recording. What are you doing?
No. I'm just
just-
solidifying my answer. He's got that hot ass sword, so he's just like fucking butter.
I haven't even poked a hole in it yet. It's all been him. You're defending it like I'm fine with it. I don't.
it still works,
I
yeah.
think my answer is better, but I think that's fine. It's just the logistics of doing it get funnier and funnier by the second. Like you're literally
Wait.
Kobeing.
Does the witch have to mark that person with her blood?
Oh God!
Oh, that's too much.
You need a whole committee to execute this.
Nope. No, I don't.
Nick's playing it out of football. Like,
B-52 bomber sliced my arm open for science and fucking crop dust the army field.
oh
my blood.
my God! That's amazing.
That'll be metal.
Yeah, it's the most metal fucking war in the world. And you know what? You know what soundtrack he gets?
Oh no.
Slayer's Raining Blood.
Well, yeah, of course.
That's better. That's better.
After defending it 17 different ways, still the best choice.
So yeah, if I remember correctly, I remember the lady did some sort of witchcraft to have him go over, and I remember she's banging the one dude, and then Depp is like peeping Tom in the situation, and she cuts her hand and then marks the guy in blood. I think if anyone
Wait, and then back up. Are you telling me that you need a lady to sneak over and start having sex with the other army in advance too, or?
I'll fuck the army.
All right. Well, you have the best answer
We'll
then.
win this war.
Yeah, this is all right.
You're definitely the most dedicated.
Dad,
which is not in line with my non-competitive nature.
you were definitely pledged to this answer.
but
Watching you defend the Headless Horseman was like watching you put together audio equipment for this podcast.
It worked in the end.
It did. I know.
Somehow,
I know.
we made it work.
That's why I have faith in your answer.
Okay, but you have the true answer.
No, you had the best answer. My answer is not nearly as good as that one. But remember, so my criteria was I wanted something that was kind of cold, controlled, wasn't going to go out of control and wreak havoc on me accidentally, and I was also trying to think of who's never been defeated ever. Because almost every horror character has eventually met some kind of defeat, even if they come back from it, right? Mm-hmm. So I'm going with the character of Death from the Final Destination series.
Oh.
I want him on my side against that army.
Yeah.
I'm gonna take all those people out for me, right? Clean and easy, problem solved.
Don't they have to avoid death first?
That's they can't avoid death. They walked out on my battlefield. They just
That's good. All right. That's flawless.
they're just going. They're going down in the order that they arrive.
That is an undefeated monster.
It's an undefeated monster who.
5 movies, 6 movies. Right?
Yeah, I don't know, like 12, and he's,
Yeah.
he's never lost. Like he's got a plan. He's not, like, he's not going to come accidentally after me because that's not in the question, and he knows what he's doing. Like who knows
You got a
better?
contract with him.
Yeah, who knows better than that guy? So
You got death on a retainer.
I got death on a
I
retainer.
promise you 30,000 deaths
I
per month.
got death on a retainer. I don't need 20,000 gallons of engineered blood or to seduce any of my.
Or a killer soundtrack.
I don't. You're right. I don't have a killer soundtrack, so that's the flaw.
What are his soundtracks to? Everyone has one going into battle.
Oh,
What's death?
yeah, I have no idea.
Silence.
We have a music expert.
Alex will compose something for death.
Yeah, please. Yeah,
All right, well, there we go. Well, there we have it. Alex, thanks for being our first guest on Hollow Weekly, a staple for the show.
yeah, that was awesome. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. And if anyone who's listening wants to check out some of your music, go to soundcloud.com/Alexander Taylor Music. And you said you just got some cool horror tracks on there, is that right?
Yeah, I got some from the feature I was telling you about, that 80s one, and then a short, like, supernatural thriller.
Oh,
That's awesome.
wonderful. Well, go on there and check it out. And we're definitely going to have you back for some more musical. We barely scratched the surface on that.
Yeah, we got much more to go.
Awesome. Love it. Well, until next time, join us on Hollow Weekly.
Bye, guys.